Hello Virgo, welcome to your July forecast for the year of 2017. I'm Kiana Mayfield from LibraLunaCenter.com, and this month, July 2017, is all about lifting us up. We're preparing for the eclipse season, which is to arrive in August, next month, right? This is the buildup of the pressure mounting to this transition to appear next month, right? And for you, July is all about the harnessing and the recognition and the saluting of your inner child, of your inner flame. You are meeting yourself, right? You are meeting this flame. You are meeting this child. It is as if Virgo, the timelines are shifting for you, right? As you stand on the precipice of this new chapter, this new journey you are to take in your life, that is in relation to your fire and flame, what speaks to you personally, your passion, your drive, right? As you prepare to leap off the edge into the unknown, as this newly fired up individual, out of your comfort zone, preparing to align the two halves of your being. The two halves of your being have to do with the meeting of your adult self, right? Who you are, the history of yourself, the history of what has made you you up until this point in your life, right? And the meeting of what has always been you, what cannot be changed, what cannot be washed and turned and twisted and bended according to the whims of fate and time, right? What is unchanging? What is the essence of yourself? This is your inner child. What has been beneath the surface the whole time, what has been perceiving your experience on this planet the whole time, which has been watching you, right? Which has been waiting to make its appearance. And as these two halves of your being meet, reality itself, I feel, is turned on its head. And so at the beginning of the month, July 1st, we have Chiron stationing retrograde in your opposite sign, Pisces, 28 degrees. And for everyone, this is about the ripping off of the Band-Aid, right? The ripping off of the Band-Aid of our karmic cycles, our karmic patterns. And for you, this has to do with the patterns and the cycles in your relationships to other people, right? In how you give of yourself as an individual being to the people around you, to the society, the public, and how you identify yourself, Virgo. You identify yourself as this servant of the world, in a sense, right? A helper. Someone who feels like you get your greatest sense of value in yourself from helping other people, from being there for other people, or from giving of yourself, right? Like a Mother Teresa type of vibe, right? Giving of yourself is how you have developed this sense of value in yourself. This is how you heal yourself, right? This is how you've healed yourself thus far, by giving of yourself in such a way that you feel almost like a sacrificial quality. And where you have given of yourself perhaps in detriment to who you actually are, right? You are solid earth sign. Even though you are a mutable earth sign, there is still the quality of groundedness, right? Groundedness in self, groundedness in the development of self, in the values of self, right? Where your roots are, Virgo. You have to give precedence to your roots over everything else, right? Because your roots connect you back to nature, connect you back to the most natural essence of your identity. And this is where you can never be lost, right? You can never get submerged into the world, right? The world can never overwhelm you as long as you are connected to this rooted essence within yourself, right? And it's ripping the Band-Aid off of wherever you have hidden this, right? Wherever you have concealed, it's almost like you've been at sea, Virgo, right? It's sea. This is very a Neptunian type of energy as well. The sea is ruled by Pisces. And with Chiron in your opposite sign in Pisces, it's almost as if every interaction in the outer world, right, has been this sense of being in the sea, and you're helping people out of the water, right, giving them life jackets and feeling like, a good Samaritan, right? But all at the same time, right, you're not looking at your own boat. You're not looking at the earth, the wood of your own boat, the quality of your own boat, right? And Chiron stationing retrograde is the peeling of the veil, right? Because there's been all along where you have concealed this aspect, right? It is the concealing of where there has been a leak in your boat all along, right? And so as you have helped people on board, as you have perhaps even felt that you have saved their life, right? As you are feeling that you are sacrificing, giving of yourself for the good of all, at the same time, you put everyone in danger, Virgo, when you're not taking care of yourself first. When you're not taking care of where there has been a leak, where there has been this subtle, consistent draining of your energy. Because there's no rootedness. The rootedness is what keeps your boat intact. And it's this rootedness where you're being asked to rediscover, to redefine, and to center yourself back in. Okay, so from July 4th through the 5th, we have Venus entering Gemini, right? And for you, this is your 10th house, the very top of your chart, right? And we have Mercury entering Leo, your 12th house. And we have Neptune in Pisces, your opposite sign, and its final and third quincunx to Jupiter in Libra, your 2nd house. So Virgo, your values, you're recognizing right? As you meet the outside world, you encounter certain belief systems, certain values, certain structures that are not in alignment with your inner child, that are not in alignment with your inner fire, your inner flame, that do not speak to your roots, right? That do not speak to your sense of personal value in yourself, right? That do not speak, in a sense, to what turns you on. And Virgo, if you want to see your dreams take precedence, right? If you want to see yourself step into this new path, this new journey, this new, entirely new set of circumstances in your life, right? If you want to become this new person that is untethered, unbound by the limitations of the past, if you want to run unchecked for the first time in your life, right? Unchecked by your mental mind, by your mental perception of self, you have to give precedence to your own values. You have to give a greater degree of importance to what is important to you personally, right? Not what is important to the group, right? Not what is important to everyone else, not what is important to necessarily live up to, right? Because this is subjective, first of all, and an illusion, right? It is the values of the other, not you. It is the values of the sea, not your boat. You're recognizing that you cannot even traverse the ocean if you do not have a boat with which to traverse it with. And this boat is made up of certain materials that speak to you, certain materials that are rooted in your core nature. And your core nature transcends everything you've known, everything you've been taught to believe. And when you give greater importance to this, everything else, you break out of the box, right? You set fire to your world. It all comes crumbling down. And this is what you want, Virgo. Because it does not serve anymore. It has served its purpose. It is long overdue, right? This constant feeling of being a slave to your reality is needing to come to an end. And this is culminated with the full moon in Capricorn from July 8th to 9th, right? In Capricorn, we conjunct Pluto retrograde. And it will be in square to Jupiter and Libra in your second. And for you, this is happening in your fifth house. Your sense of creative personal self-expression, right? Your heart, your inner child. Speaking again to the inner child with all this Leo energy, right? And with Mercury going to your 12th. This is studying, analyzing, investigating what this inner child is, what this passion, fire, flame is, right? What you have concealed, what you have perhaps rebuked within yourself, where you have abandoned your inner child, is needing to be looked at, is needing to be relit, relighting the candle. And with the full moon in Capricorn in your fifth, the child cannot be repressed any longer. The child eventually. So Virgo, it happened 3 times, right? Getting this message out to you. So let's just hurry along here, right? So we have the last quarter square of the moon in Aries, July 16th, and it will be conjuncting Uranus at its highest degree it will reach this year, 28 degrees of Aries, because it will retrograde in August, right? And for you, this is happening in the area of your chart that has to do with other people, your investment of your time, energy, and resources right into the collective. Passion, sex, intimacy, right? Squaring over to the Sun and Mars in Cancer in your 11th house, right? And Virgo, this last quarter square is requiring you to push for your passion, push for your new level of intimacy within yourself, right? What sets you on fire, what turns you on personally is how you need to step up your game to level up to this new way of relating yourself to the world, right? Because you can no longer hide. You can no longer hide this inner child. You can no longer hide this fire that wishes to express itself through you. This repression, This repression of your inner child by the inner parent and the programming and the conditioning within yourself, right, needs to be transcended, needs to be reworked, needs to be set fire to. It needs to be, think of the Tower card, right, in the tarot. Actually, I pulled this for you for July. If you do not want this to happen, Virgo, or perhaps if you do, in some certain revelatory fashion in your life, right? And perhaps a process that speaks to the transcendence of what does not serve, setting fire to what does not serve versus things that do, right? The blurring of these lines is only made when you do not recognize it yourself, when you do not recognize what does serve you, actually, when you do not recognize what does not serve you, actually. And you must make this revelation within yourself. You must make this perception within yourself. And it comes down to the meeting of your being, right? The meeting of the inner parent and the inner child, and how they integrate, how they come together, how they instruct each other through life, the relationship between these two, the synthesis between these two elements of your being, Virgo, is where you are set free. Because you create your own rules and you create your own freedom. Freedom is your natural form of expression. It is the natural form of expression for everyone on this planet, Virgo. And you are not bound. You are not bound to a certain decree. It requires you to sacrifice yourself for the sake of what you believe, what you've been taught to believe is perhaps more relevant. Because these values do not align with the truth of nature. Truth for you. Putting yourself first, putting your own boat first, recognizing that in order to serve anyone else, you must serve yourself first. You must give precedence to this inner child within you that is waiting to be recognized. Okay, so Virgo, this is building up to the new moon in Leo, which will be conjuncting Mars in Leo, right? And this will be happening July 23rd, and it's opening a portal to the eclipse season because we will be having 2 new moons this year in this new moon cycle. And this eclipse cycle will be happening for you in your 12th and 6th house, right? And so with this new moon in Leo on July 23rd, conjuncting Mars in your 12th house, in area of your chart that has to do with the subconscious, that has to do with your karmic ties, that has to do with your karmic patterns and cycles, right? Endings and beginnings, the transition from the ending of the old and the beginning of the new, right? When the flower prepares to wilt and decay, right? It sprouts new seeds for the future, for the new cycle to begin again. And in a sense, it is immortal because it lives through its creation. It lives through the seed it gives birth to, right? And, sorry, Virgo. What you're giving birth to, Virgo, has to do with a whole new way of recognizing and becoming a part of this inner child, right? This inner passion and flame that has been subtly on the outskirts of this new world, the perimeter of this new world you've always subtly been wanting, yearning to enter into, right? That speaks to your personal freedom, Virgo. That speaks to where you wish to develop yourself and develop your life, develop your lifestyle, right? Because you recognize that the old way of doing things no longer serves you. It no longer matches up. It no longer gives you a sense of feeling good. You feel bad in your life, Virgo, when something is off, right? When you are going against the natural flow, the natural cycle. Virgo, you are an earth sign, and you must pay attention to the currents and the rhythms of your body, right? Because it speaks to whether you are going with the flow or against the flow, the current, the rhythms, the tides of life, right? When you're going against the flow of life, when you're going against the flow of nature itself, you destroy yourself, Virgo, and you feel depleted, you feel drained, you feel sucked of the life and the passion and the drive and the determination and the fire within you, right? It is extinguished because it has no life to sustain it. When you go against the flow of life, right? This is when your inner child suffocates. And you're coming to terms with a whole new way of allowing this inner child in you to be born, to be integrated with the parent, the inner programming, the inner conditioning, the inner mind, the mental perception, right, within you. The way of looking at reality, the way of inhabiting yourself in reality, right? The way of conducting yourself in reality. Ultimately, this must surrender to the child. Let the child be in charge, Virgo. The child within you. And this may also speak to biological children as well as creative projects, right? Because before then we will be having the full moon in Capricorn, which is your 5th house. It has to do with children. It has to do with your offspring, in a sense that it is an extension of your being, whether this is biological children or mental, spiritual children. Either way, Virgo, this is a coming to recognition, the meeting eye to eye. Of this being within you, right? And so by July 25th, we have Mercury, your ruling planet, entering your sign, Virgo. And Mercury is in its domicile position in Virgo. And for you, this will be, for everyone, Mercury will be in Virgo, going across for you personally, your 1st and 12th house, transitioning between the two until September, right? So it will be inhabiting the space until the end of September, because Mercury will go retrograde next month. So Virgo, with Mercury in your own sign, your ruling planet in your own sign, this is the investigation, the studying, the getting down to the basics of who you are, Virgo. Of who you will be, of who you will become, of who you are stepping into this new world, stepping into this new chapter, who you are at the base level of your being, right? who you are in relation to the inner child, in relation to the inner parent. All of it is relevant in a sense. And how these two synthesize, in what ways they synthesize, right? In the certain patterns they synthesize. You're creating new patterns, new habits, new ways of being, new modes of being, right? Everything must be integrated, everything must be looked at. And it requires a new definition of self, a new perception of self, breaking the barriers and the limits of your own definition of self, right? Because you are scribbling that chapter away, scribbling this identity away and creating a new one, right? So in a sense, you are taking the pen and pencil, whatever writing tool you use, and basically creating this new identity, writing down who it is you will become, who it is you want to be, Virgo. Getting down to the basics of that. Getting down to the perception of it. And you will be reworking it over and over again, right, for the next 2 months, because Mercury will be retrograding in your own sign. So it's not as if you need to come to this definite conclusion about who you will become right away, because it's going to be reworked, it's going to be relooked at, it's going to be re-strategized. It doesn't need to be perfect, Virgo. The definition of yourself can never be perfect, because the definition of yourself is, in a sense, an illusion, and that we can never really be defined, truthfully. But it is in the synthesization of your inner parent and your inner child that you come to this new definition of self. And as you redefine yourself, Virgo, you redefine reality itself. Because this is where you need to be, right? It is not about ultimately, the definition of self is irrelevant in and of itself, right? Because you cannot be defined. You are a spirit inhabiting a body, and your spiritual nature can never be defined. Honestly, right? But it is in the attempt, in the pursuit of defining yourself, that how you define yourself determines what you experience, determines the life you will lead, Virgo. And if you think of your life as your own personal project, it becomes loose, right? It becomes more fun. It becomes more dynamic. You do not have to be attempting to live into this perfect self, because it does not exist, right? It is only in playing around with what interests you, Virgo, and how you want to define yourself, and creating your own character, in a sense, writing down your own character description, that you create your own little world. And this is what you're learning to do. Okay, so we have Saturn beginning to stop, because it will station direct in August as well, August 25th, after the total solar eclipse. And it will stop at 21 degrees. And for you, this is happening in your 4th house again. So where you feel stuck is in your roots, is in your sense of family, your sense of your foundation of self, Virgo. Your foundation of self, because this foundation of self does not ultimately speak to where you're going. It does not ultimately speak to it is completely foreign. Where you're going is completely foreign to where you have been, Virgo. And it is and where you feel stuck is your sense of rootedness in this past, right? rootedness in where you have been, almost the comfortability level, right? Because who you are and where you're going is dynamic and changeable and foreign, that you feel like you're walking on eggshells in a sense. But it is in the acceptance of this other aspect, this other element of your being, the two halves of your being, right? That it all comes together for you. That you build upon your foundation versus destroying it, or versus feeling lost, right? And by the end of the month, from July 30th through the 31st, we have the first quarter square of the moon in Scorpio in your 3rd house, squaring over to the sun and Mars and Leo in your 12th, right? And we have Venus entering Cancer. Venus entering Cancer in your 11th house. So Virgo, it is in the proclamation of your passion, of your inner child, saying what he or she needs to say to the world, right? That the people who will be a part of your journey align together for you. They recognize your voice, Virgo, because they are you in a sense. They come home to you. When you come home to yourself, when you come home to your inner child, this is where you find your family in the outer world. This is where you find your place, where you ultimately will end up belonging, right? And the people that will help contribute to this new definition of self, this new definition of you, the synthesization of your inner parent and your inner child. The people that will help this come together, right? They come for you, right? They come into alignment for you. They return home for you when you step up, when you believe in your own voice, right? When you proclaim your passion, your fire, your drive for this inner child waiting to express itself, and where it has been dying to express itself all along, right? So thank you very much for watching, Virgo. I hope you all have a wonderful July, and be sure to check out your sun, moon, and rising / ascendant signs, as well as it may give more inspiration and information for your personal chart for the month of July, right? So, and if you do not know what those signs are, I have a link in the description for you that links to a calculator on our site where you are able to figure out these positions. So again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in August next month.